Saturday, September 23rd, 1989. An Army Ranger moved into one of Tacoma's most gang-infested streets. Within days, he was watching drug deals and shootouts from his front porch. But he wasn't about to sit back and watch. He confronted the dealers, called the cops, stirred the pot. After poking the bear one too many times, the Hilltop Crips decided to bring the fight to his front door. But what they didn't know, that Ranger had 15 of his battle-hardened buddies over for a backyard barbecue. 10 minutes, 300 rounds. The Crips found out the hard way. They weren't the ones doing the poking. They just kicked open a den of grizzlies.
Yeah, one of you people gonna do something about it?
On the ground, I'll kill you if you don't get in that tub.
When?
On the ground, you hear me?
When people start shooting people?
Anything about that?
No,
of course not.
During the 1980s, communities across the nation were overrun by gangs, a surge driven by the crack epidemic and economic collapse that defined the decade. Tacoma, Washington's Hilltop District wasn't just a hotspot, it was ground zero. Crips and Bloods from California flooded in, carving out new turf for drug dealing and recruitment. The area quickly earned a reputation as the Wild West of gang violence, street dealers brazenly peddling crack, graffiti marking every corner, and shootouts erupting without warning. The Tacoma Police Department, underfunded and outgunned, was left struggling to contain the chaos, not even responding when crimes were witnessed firsthand, leaving residents feeling abandoned and defenseless.
On a report, which I believe is to be a crack house.
There's a lot of foot traffic going in and out. They're very blatant about it. They're passing money back and forth.
You call 911 and say, hey, guy's out here firing guns. He just popped off 6 rounds. Cop comes cruising through, there's nobody there because he walked back and went in his house.
Ready or not, here I come.
By summer '89, Tacoma was spiraling. Cops were outgunned and outnumbered, and the gangs knew it. Dealers started slinging crack in broad daylight, and more gangbangers poured in from California. Meanwhile, a gang called the Hilltop Crips rose to power.
Get all this red confused, man. It's the clique. We do this we still Crips, though. Don't get all this red confused. You know what I mean? We still Hilltop Crip banging.
Enter Staff Sergeant William Foulk. A hardened ranger from 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, Foulk bought a home on Ash Street hoping the neighborhood would turn around. But by the time he got back from a deployment to Panama in 1989, it had only gotten worse. So, he did what leaders do, organized. He and a group of fed-up, hard-working neighbors began pressing police, protesting, and even photographing dealers. Chief Ray Faitland, under budget pressure, made a fatal error. He pulled most of the Hilltop Crime Management team to pilot his community policing project. The result? The dealers got bolder. The residents of Ash Street were outraged.
A nice neighborhood with lots of kids and lots of innocent people.
I really would appreciate
If something could be done about this.
At least take a drive-by.
It's making me very nervous.
Yeah, one of you people gonna do something about it?
As pressure mounted from both citizens and the city council, the News Tribune picked up the story, spotlighting the neighbors' grassroots efforts to track and document drug activity on their own.
The police came around and sat and looked at these crack dealers and did nothing. The crack dealers laughed at them and waved at them and told them to get lost.
The media attention had an effect, but only a small one. Before the story broke, Staff Sergeant Foulk counted over 100 cars a day cruising through his block. After the article ran, that number dipped to just 20. It was a start, but the battle was far from over. Determined to keep the pressure on, Foulk mounted a video camera in his upstairs window to capture the steady stream of drug traffic. Then, as a show of unity, he organized a neighborhood barbecue for 3 p.m. on Saturday, September 23rd. He invited neighbors, friends, and a few of his Army Ranger buddies, never expecting what would happen next. It was a crisp early fall afternoon, the kind of day that made you believe the neighborhood still had a shot. Families showed up, neighbors laughed. A few rangers manned the grill, flipping burgers. Even reporter Michael Gilbert, who'd recently called out the police in the local paper, came by to cover the community's stand. For a moment, Ash Street felt normal. Then they showed up. The Hilltop Crips cruised past Foulk's house, eyes locked on the upstairs camera. One of them pointed, thumb up, index out, and flicked his wrist. Boom, boom. A warning. Hours later, they came back. Rocks flew at the house. The camera was targeted again, this time by someone with a BB gun. That was it. Foulk had enough.
think he should be a toll.
Good idea.
He should be a toll. Listen, fellas, I've had a really rare morning.
He crossed the street with a few rangers to confront the gangbangers.
Told us that they were going to burn the house down and they were going to fire us up after dark, and not to mess with them because we didn't know what we were messing with.
Foulk went home, picked up the phone, and made some calls.
When I felt that the threats they made were serious, that it was very likely that we could come under attack, I called some of my friends, other rangers, friends of mine, and told them what the situation was, told them that I needed help.
Including the few rangers already there, in total, 15 showed up. Foulk told them to bring personal weapons, handguns, shotguns, rifles, whatever they had. He carried a Browning 9mm and a Colt Python 357 Magnum. Foulk pitched a defensive plan. Stake out positions, no first moves, disarm and cooperate if police show up. His buddies were all in. Maybe nothing would happen. But if it did, zero tolerance for gangland antics.
911, please do fire. We have shooting right down the street, severe shooting.
Massive gunfire going back here on
23rd and Ash?
Right.
Shots fired?
Yeah, about 100 of them.
Sounds like there's a war going on.
Did you say who fired the shot, sir?
For Christ's sake, no!
911, please do fire.
We have shooting right down the street, severe shooting.
As the sun set, rangers took positions around the house, watching every angle. Hours later, a vehicle approached slowly with its lights off. Foulk, Magnum in hand, shut off his house lights. At 9:20 p.m., someone in the car fired a shot in the air. Then fire came from the rear, automatic, small caliber. The Rangers returned fire. So did the Hilltop Crips. Ranger William Edwards on the porch hit the ground as a bullet slammed the wall beside him. He and others returned fire, spotting figures running among parked cars. Ranger Russell Nolt in the backyard crawled forward as a bullet struck the house 3 feet above him. Upstairs, Ranger Burr Settles was by the surveillance camera when a shot shattered the window, grazing his head and cutting his face. Flashes lit up the east, at least 16 shooters in 3 locations. The Crips ducked behind cars, firing blindly over their shoulders. The shootout lasted 10 minutes. The first police cruiser rolled in, lights and sirens on. The Rangers dropped their weapons, but as the cruiser arrived, a Crip fired, forcing the cop to reverse out fast, tires smoking. That officer reported 50 to 60 shots in under a minute. More police arrived and the gangbangers scattered.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They estimated about 300 rounds. I mean, I certainly wasn't keeping count, but, for a good about 10 minutes.
So what? Because the police can't deal with the situation? The neighborhood says...
Ooh, for a while.
We're going to arm ourselves?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And that night, it all came to a head?
That night, it all came to a head.
Out of a probable 35-man gunfight and 300-plus rounds, no one was officially reported hurt. But rumors said injured gang members never sought treatment, some possibly mortally wounded. Foulk recalled one gangster charging the house like John Wayne, until a ranger shot him in the shoulder. The wounded man ran off. That incident's not in reports, but some say he was treated at a Seattle hospital over an hour away. Mayor Doug Sutherland considered declaring martial law. Tacoma hired more cops. Governor Booth Gardner even considered sending in the National Guard. One Crip, Frankie Strickland, was caught by a police K-9 with 16 rounds of 9mm. He was the only person charged, 22 months for second-degree assault.
Did you start the shooting?
No, I didn't. Strickland says he thinks it was the Rangers who attacked first.
So let me make sure I understand this, Frankie. You and your friends are hanging around, minding your own business, not doing anything illegal. Not selling any drugs, not buying any drugs, not using any drugs, not shooting anybody.
No.
Or at anybody. And these guys come along, these Army Rangers, and shoot up the neighborhood.
Yep.
You forgive me. I mean, it just doesn't sound like it makes sense. Can I ask you, I have a picture here. That's you, right? What is going on here?
As for the Rangers, the military ruled the incident self-defense. Tacoma PD and the FBI launched a crackdown on the Hilltop Crips, charging 32 members with over 50 crimes, including theft, attempted murder, and drug sales. A Tacoma officer called the shootout the most important event that changed city policing. Staff Sergeant Foulk never left Ash Street. As he expected, he was never promoted. He left the Army in 1993 and still owns the property to this day. If you'd like to support our work, drop a like and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Was the Rangers' response justified self-defense or a dangerous case of vigilante justice? Whatever your take, we want to hear from you below. Links to the original newspaper articles covering the Ash Street Shootout are in the description, along with a full interview with Bill Foulk on the Reasons We Serve YouTube channel. If you want the story straight from the horse's mouth, don't miss it. The link's in the description. And if you enjoy true tales of American heroes, hit that subscribe button. We've got more incredible stories coming your way.